1 second, I'll be with you. Okay, I think good morning, Europe. I hope you're well. We're just coming up to the open in approximately 30 seconds. So let's get to it. I have a bit of a funny story. I'll share that with you in a second. I've been doing some analysis, and I was the opinion that I probably wanted to be swing long the market. So I took some very small positions, and then this was a few hours ago. But here's the funny bit. Do you see this? Do you see this short trade in the DAX? In my sleepiness this morning, instead of buying the DAX, I sold short the DAX. So I bought the FTSE, bought the Nasdaq, bought the Dow, and just in small size. And I can't even explain to you how it has happened, but I must have hit the sell button in the DAX, and obviously, when you make a mistake like that, the first thing you do is just, oh Jesus, how did that happen? And then you just try to correct the mistake, and I just closed the position immediately because I didn't want to be short the DAX. I want to be long the DAX. I just thought that was a bit funny. So that kind of cost me. It cost me 70 points in positive profit, and then it actually also cost me £70 in negative. So there you go. I haven't got a stop loss on these positions, and I'm going to trade around them when we are trading together. They're sort of just swings. I have an idea that that we could see on the daily chart. We could see a push up towards new highs in the FTSE. I think a lot will depend on what we see happening with non-farm payroll on Friday. So, and the same in the DAX. I feel that we are poised for a breakout. I'll show you the Dow as well if you want. So it's the Dow. It's the Dow daily, and I think we're poised for a push above 42,800 and take us up to, well, maybe not 45,000, but certainly above 43,000. But anyway, we're day traders, and so that's what we'll focus on. Today I put the trading size at £20 a point in the FTSE and £6 a point in the DAX. So you're going to somehow have to abstract for this position here. I'll just keep that. So we will probably, in the next 2 minutes, there's certainly the possibility of a first bar negative. And over in the DAX, let's get back to the 5-minute chart. Over in the DAX, we have bar 1 unfolding, and we have a big gap up. So it'll be interesting to see where this first bar, the bar 1, closes, because much of that will depend on how we're going to trade the open. I went through, as a preparation research for today, I went through the last 30 trading days to see how frequent the first bar in the DAX is a negative bar. And fair to say in a bull trend that doesn't happen so frequently. I can drag out the research. Let me just just gonna go to another desk. Actually, let me just wait. I just want to see where the FTSE ends up, because it does look like we're gonna have a first bar negative. You can see that the FTSE is sort of hovering around the entire width of the overnight range, while the DAX is behaving a little differently. So there you go. DAX is well above the overnight range. So here we go. The first bar in the FTSE is a negative bar with a low at 8789. And so perhaps the FTSE is in for a gap fill, but I would be a buyer below 8789, currently trading at 93. Over in the DAX, on the 5-minute chart, we also got a first bar negative. It's a rather indecisive doji bar, and well, I haven't got anything for you there yet. I'm just going to transfer the research. 1 second. Okay. One person is saying that my voice is coming through echoey. I checked my Telegram. I don't know if where that person is. Yeah, I have a feeling when people are complaining about that, it's actually their own connection as opposed to mine. FTSE is coming down to an interesting area. Please stand by. I'm buying the FTSE here. I have triggered a long. Let me get rid of the Dow. It's probably confusing more than anything now. So we have got a first bar negative, and I have been a buyer below that low. Market is pushing a bit lower down to the low end of the overnight range and actually closed the gap. Not that was much of a gap, but I closed it nevertheless. And I've upped the trading size in the FTSE by £5. So over the last month or so, which represents approximately 20 or so trading days, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we had 7 out of, call it 20 trading days. So I think it's 22 trading days in reality. So about 30% of the first 5-minute bars are or were a negative bar. So on the 6th of May, the market gapped up by 100 points. Pre-market had been strong, but the first 2 5-minute bars were weak. So this gives you some examples. Here, first bar is negative. So if you sort of compare it to, well, what does it look like right now? Well, you got the first bar that is negative, bar number 2 is actually positive, and now bar number 3 is pushing lower. So if you look at say in chart number 2, that's not a good example. Perhaps chart number 3, you're seeing here. Show you a little better. So here's the open, then a positive bar. So this could actually be indicative that we're going to have an early trading range environment in the DAX. Well, we'll see. So now this is actually quite interesting because now we are actually trading below the low of the opening range bar. And if we close below that, that would constitute a sell to me. And now I'm getting a little worried about my FTSE because if I get a sell signal in the next moments in the DAX, then I'm not sure I want to be long the FTSE. But otherwise, what you just saw here could be an example of a first bar negative traditional setup as you are seeing it in the FTSE as well. but buyers stepped in and bought the lower one so far. I think what's going to be more critical is where it actually closes, which will take place in a few seconds. Interesting. Did you see that there was a gap between the close and the open? See that right there? Right there. This is where we closed, which is at 30, and then the bar opened at 20. Don't ask me how a 10 point. It's almost like a gap, isn't it? I mean, it was instantly filled. Would I add to my FTSE? Yeah, but if I doubled up, I would need more of a profit, and I would want to see how 4 plays out, and I don't think the DAX is entirely out of trouble just yet. Although what the pattern of 1, 2, and 3 is suggesting already now is that this is going to be a trading range morning. Why am I saying that? Well, because 2, by and large, only achieves to overlap 1. And look at the bodies of 1, 2, and 3. So, yeah, okay. However, if we were to close below 3, I would perhaps be more confident to put a short signal on. FTSE is, in spite of the strong bull close on 3, are seeing sellers coming in as well. So there's a possibility that I would take an early loss. I know my stop loss is all the way down here, but if the structure of the price action doesn't look right, then you don't really need to have a 25-point stop loss. You want to deploy those resources elsewhere. So what that could mean now is, and by the way, those of you who have the software, try and hold in the shift button and then the control button and then move the cursor. Do you see how it actually triggers an order system? It's really quite smart. So just hold in control and move the mouse up and down, or hold the shift. So I could be tempted to be a seller up here. I'll delete this order. You can manage that order from over here in orders. I'll delete this order now, but I could be tempted to be a seller above here. Let's get rid of that. But the FTSE is not looking so strong. In particular, if we get a close below 3, wouldn't be overly impressed with that. So if my objective was to be a scalper, I would be a seller above 3. But it's not a great signal, but it is a bet on this being a trading environment. FTSE though is not looking so good, and I'm contemplating whether I should flip the switch. know if you know this, but if you press this, you actually reverse the position. I can't do that right now because I got a multiple open position that says can't reverse on multi position. What I can do. So 4 closed below 3, but only marginally so. And so we got 2 bear bars and got a bull and now a bear bar again. And nothing really of interest. It is bullish, but because we're sat in a gap up situation. And we're sat above the overnight range. I'm just getting a little bit concerned about something. I just want to make sure I haven't forgotten anything on the news front, but I haven't. We got PMIs coming out from various countries, but they're all what we call unimportant news events. So if you want to be a scalper, you'll be a seller at 254 or above. It's kind of trading at 251, 254. Because this price action of 1, 2, and 3 is indicative of a trading range environment. There you go. Notice how the FTSE is not participating at all. It always concerns me when I have a long position in something and say the DAX in this case is rallying and the FTSE is not participating. So far there's no sellers above high of 3. I like to take a chance on a short position in the DAX here with a 20-point stop loss. I actually got a really crap fill. I wanted to be filled at 67. I'm going to double up on the DAX. We're coming up to school run, but it's inside a trading range. Just get rid of these lines here. Be lovely to see a break below 5. I would add again. But I moved my stop loss to 68 on both, which is up here. Show you. Sorry, not working out. 6 is pushing back up again. I'll show you the account. Stop loss is at 68, quite close to being stopped out, unfortunately. It was a good scalp, but the market wasn't ripe for continued downside. I would probably add to the FTSE, but I would not. I wanted to see the trade above 91 before I would add to it. Looks like my stop loss was placed. I was going to say it was placed in a bad place, but seems all right now. So we're coming up to the school run. FTSE wasn't positive there for a second. The school run is now going to take place above the overnight range. Problem is that I got an inside bar in what seems to be a trading range environment. So I am buying the FTSE on a school run long. FTSE can't quite get above 90, it seems, which is about the, just hovering around the closing price of yesterday. I think I'll take a screenshot of this DAX right now. Well, I remember. Actually, let me. There we go. So DAX pushing above the highs of the day. Now what I'd love to see is actually a close above the high of the day. That would be really good. FTSE still doing nothing. So here's the daily chart of the DAX. We have an old high of 395. Currently trading at 292. Wow, look at this FTSE. It is not a happy camper. So this looks like a trending move in the DAX. Now it's just a question of how you manage it and how or where, if at all, you will add to it. No one is interested in the FTSE this morning. I'm just going through some of the messages and see if there's any interesting ones. Please don't ask me questions about the charting software. Direct them to the support. Come on. The DAX. Let's get a shifty. Sorry, I was just quiet for a moment, just contemplating the price action. Just contemplating what to do. You know, sometimes you have to be a mind reader to run a channel like this. So for example, I just got a message from someone calling themselves asset manager. Interesting question. Why TD365 removed Bitcoin instrument? I'm thinking, well, it's right fucking there. I mean, it's literally right there. And you think, okay, well, you try to be helpful to people, but you're thinking, well, it's right there. You can literally see it. Anyway. So unfortunately, the trading range is actually materializing. And what I really don't want is for the DAX to trade below 3, and it's unfortunately doing that. And that is just indicative that we are in a trading range and I am on the wrong side. I don't mind trading ranges at all, but it's fair to say that the school run strategy doesn't lend itself to trading ranges. And I think I'm more than anything frustrated with myself because I already had an inclination of thinking this is a trading range. Why? Well, because 1, 2, and 3, the bars of 1, 2, and 3 were just largely overlapping each other. But there could also just be this idea that this is just a slow protracting. I can't draw it like this, so I'm gonna have to make use of my exquisite skills in paint. But it'll be this idea that perhaps it's just a trading channel, and that means we will respect that there's a low end of this channel here, and buyers will step in, but we might just make a new high marginally come back into the range, and new high, marginally come back into the range. And if that's the case, the best thing I can really do is just to let this position run with a stop loss. So that, I think that's what I'm leaning on right now. That is going on. That it's sort of a trading range, push higher, trading range, push higher, requiring an infinite amount of patience. And in the FTSE, it's rare to see a market that tightly coiled after the open, but that's what's happening. And so I'm in a long position on a first bar negative, and I want to be a buyer on a close above 91. That hasn't happened yet. My fear in the DAX is a close on a 15-minute chart below 3. I don't think that's going to be so good for my position. So I might not necessarily be in for a long morning, but I am not doing very well. And every time it sort of pushes higher, I go, oh, is this it? Is this the one? It's just, once the market settles into a trading range, it tends to want to be in a trading range, and you'll often know that is coming out of a trading range. It's just whether you trust it. So the range so far is contained from 87.90 down to 87.78. That's a 12-point range. Doesn't get much tighter than that. DAX though is looking better. And so perhaps that tight trading channel in a narrow, upwardly trending range, this is indeed playing itself out. This is going to sound like I'm complaining. I'm not. I just want to show you something. I want to keep it. Obviously, I want to keep it anonymously. Come on. But these are the kind of. This is what I get. Enormously, humongous text-rich messages. What I wanted to ask, you have said earlier that you began as a £1 a point trading and then became a 2 and then 5. I'm just wondering how that affected your risk though. For example, let's say you have £100,000 and you might risk 1 to 2% per trade. I suppose and you're sort of wondering, are they asking the question, then they're answering themselves? I suppose when taking a trade in 4x DAX, sometimes the stop is 25 points, other times just 5 to 7 points. So by having the same position size all the time, didn't it make your returns very choppy, or perhaps put your account at bigger risk volatility? I understand we can argue that, well, if the stop is too many points away, you can pass the trade or cut the size in half. And that makes sense. But what if the other way around? When you have a very strong and high probability setup with a 5 to 7 point stop and you have the same size, I imagine, on as when the stop would be 20 points away. What I mean is you would be risking much less on those good setups, because conventionally thinking your position size should be bigger in that case, since stop is tighter and you can have bigger size for the same percentage risk. So did you feel you are making less or being under position sized in those moments? And just to follow up, how did you decide you were ready to increase your position sizing? Was it through a certain number of trades, after a certain time, or certain amount of profit points? What metrics did you use to prove to yourself you are ready for the next level? That's a rather sizable question. Can we agree? Now, all of this is discussed in my book. Well, let me just try and answer it anyway, even though I'm really not quite sure what exactly is at the heart of this young man's question. So sometimes you use a 5-point stop loss, sometimes you use a 20-point stop loss. I would argue that you want to have a monetary value that you'll risk on each trade. Say it's £100. And if you have a 5-point stop loss or a 10-point stop loss, I don't necessarily begin to change around on the trading size. Does that make my P&L erratic? Well, yes, but the world might be linear. You wake up, you go to work, you go to bed. But trading is not a linear business at all. And I do my very best to remain unemotional about it and just focus on the chart. And if it sometimes means I'm a little bit overexposed, well, so let that be it. And at times I'm a bit underexposed, so let that be it. Don't insist on perfection in trading, because you'll be searching for a long time. But the rest of these questions, if you write to me, do me a favor and try and read the question back to yourself before you send it to me, because it's very difficult for me to receive a message like this and then trying to figure out, how do I answer this? Yeah. Okay, DAX is pushing higher, probably still within the trading range that I shown you here. Yeah, so might not be the best time to be too complacent and thinking it's just gonna run away. And FTSE is attempting, but I want to see it. I am watching my charts. I have many screens, and while I'm talking, I am Someone has just sent me a joke. Okay. What do you call an Italian with a rubber toe? And the answer is you have to say this answer with an Italian accent. Roberto, 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 Roberto. Oh Jesus, Luke, that is a shit joke. Wow, it's bad. Oh dear Lord, I can't believe you made me. So what do we bet on here, ladies and gentlemen? That this is a trading channel and that we should be a little careful here? Because that's, do you see how we're at the top of the channel now? Do you see it? I'm doubling up though. I really must change that. It is not a 20-point stop loss. I hope that my analysis is wrong. That is not a trading range channel. Come on. So far, I'm afraid that, do you see what I mean here? Let's take, you're seeing this here. Let's do the same lines again. You see it? Right there. It's fairly obvious now that we are in a tight trading range channel, and I probably shouldn't have added to my winning trades. So Don Quixote just sent me a message saying, should you really be doubling up in a wide channel? No, Don, you're right. I shouldn't. I'm beginning to kick myself here. I'm thinking that perhaps was not a good trade. I think I should get rid of it. Or just close the whole position. As a whole, look at the US. I'm closing my add-on. I think I lost on it. And the FTSE is not playing ball. I really thought that this was it. Having a bit of a torrid time today, ladies and gentlemen. But in a way, I'm glad that we are witnessing it together. Oh, dear Lord. I don't have a whole lot to comment on. I think we are on a trading channel, and there's a part of me thinking, should I just be grateful? The FTSE, Jesus, I'm not sure. Guys, I think I'm just going to take a 5-minute break, okay? Woohoo! Go! I'm just eating some, you're gonna laugh at this, dehydrated omega-3 biscuit. I made them with linseeds and hemp seeds. Man, they require chewing. Dare I add to my long position now in the FTSE? Huh? What do you think? Or should I take myself out of this miserable morning with a profit and go and exercise? Today's sprint training day, ladies and gentlemen. Have you heard of Tabata training? Oh my god. I think I'm gonna bail on my my DAX position. At least move stop loss to break even. It's hardly an astounding profit I got in the FTSE, but at least I am not losing anymore. And the DAX is grinding, but it's grinding slowly. I'll show you this idea where I think we are. I think we're just in a channel. Ladies and gentlemen, we're trading in a channel in DAX. We have a long position going. I don't think there's any reason for taking profit. But it's not exactly exciting to watch either. And the same with the FTSE. I think I finally got my close. No, I haven't, not yet. But anyway, my account is looking significantly better now. I've doubled up in the FTSE. I think I'll stop the streaming now. So let me give you a status. I've doubled up on the FTSE. I think it looks okay to push higher now. I got a stop loss in the DAX. I've been 40 points in profit. Now I'm just 12 points in profit. I moved the stop loss to break even. It doesn't actually make sense to have the stop loss there, because I think we're on a trading channel and every little dip should be bought. The size of the dip's about the same, but with a bit of luck, I am spared being stopped out. My trading this morning, I lost 180 and then 170. So that's, what's that? 250 and another 10. I'm down £260 on this £10,000 account. And well, I've been better, I've been worse. And now I am likely going to get stopped out in the DAX. So I think I'm going to stop for this morning. And everything is on display, so you know what I'm doing. And I'll manage, of course, or inform you if I'm doing anything. So thanks a lot for being here. It's been a good trading session. It's been exciting to navigate it with you and, talk about the structure of the price action, even if it hasn't been particularly profitable. So enough for now, and I'll see you for the US session. Good day.